As I grew up and went from job to job, slowly integrating into society as an adult, I started becoming more and more aware of the mentalities that made up the many hive minds of modern society. A society for whom day-to-day life has become fueled, in most cases out of necessity, by what lies ahead. The idea of that next paycheck, that next holiday, that next summer, even that next video game release. We manage to dedicate more time to what lies in the future than we ever do to what lies in the present. Sometimes looking ahead for the better, but more often than not for the worse. And many of us will spend decades of our lives searching for success, but never having the necessary patience to actually discover it in the here and now. It's an undeniably infectious mindset that influences everything we do, including our consumption of media and entertainment. Many of these things only existing in the future as a reason for us to be excited, something to look forward to, but our interests themselves often peak just before we ever actually experience these things, and then it's all but gone as quickly as our first experiences themselves. Films are rarely ever watched more than once before we move on to the next blockbuster or Netflix original. Music albums are just another blip in a rotation of songs in our now infinite libraries of Spotify and Apple Music. And video games are left unfinished, let alone truly experienced or appreciated, with the next string of big releases just another few months away. It's this accessibility to media and entertainment that has simultaneously given us the opportunity to experience things we may have never before. Access to music from countries we've never even heard of, films and games from creators working out of their basements, all of these new ways to access the creations of others, but at the same time constantly encouraged by this influx, this accessibility to this content to move on to the next thing and the next thing. What's new, what's relevant, to the point where we never fully absorb or appreciate what lies right there before us. As a creator, I've experienced this firsthand, and in my 6 years on YouTube, I've been guided along by the internet and its obsession with consumption and relevancy, chewing through more games than I can count, and passing up just as many. Games that not only deserved so much more of my time and attention, but that had so much more to give in return. It's just these past 2 years that I finally have dedicated myself to a mindset free of these constraints for what is and isn't relevant. These same constraints that seemingly shape what we should be playing or talking about. It's one of the main reasons I've taken to this new direction for the channel here in 2018, not just for myself, to harken back to my olden days, the way I used to look at video games as a young teenager, but also to encourage and show others that we can create discussion and interest at our own pace. We can create and commentate on not just what's new, but what matters to us regardless of its relevancy in our own manufactured timelines. When it comes to games, I've gone on record numerous times saying that they are indeed a sum of their parts, but that many of those parts often go unnoticed, underappreciated, and not allowed to have an effect on our player experiences. As we race through one game so that we may only start the next, we manage to neglect so much of what was right there in front of us, ready to build a deeper connection with us, ready to have a deeper impact on us. Games, if we allow them, can truly be emotional and sensory manipulating experiences. Let Assassin's Creed take you to the deserts of Egypt to indulge in their many mysteries. Let Halo put a soundtrack to your ears worthy of the most grand of adventures. For me, no game managed to hit harder on that sensory level than The Division. I know, to many of you, it's just another third-person shooter. What's so special about that? But for me, it offered one of the most intoxicating pieces of world design I've ever experienced in gaming. Massive's imagining of New York City is one so rich and thick with detail and atmosphere, a city covered in snow that I could feel crunch beneath my boots, and a crisp, bitter cold that chilled me to the bone. Its streets filled with stories of so many struggles for survival, and subway stations steaming with death and decay. As someone who lives on the East Coast, was born and raised on the East Coast, snow is more than just weather to me. It's a sign of the holiday season, time spent with friends and family. It's memories of long days and nights spent sledding with my brother, snowball fights, and hot cocoa. I've developed a powerful emotional connection to winter, and Massive's ability to create a world that invoked those very same emotions is a prime example of what a game can offer when it's done right. Each and every component just waiting to reach out and connect with the right person. Music that'll melt your heart, sound design to truly put you in the shoes of your character, and animations that'll make you grin. It's all right there, waiting in hundreds of thousands of games you could be playing right now. You just have to pick one and let yourself truly commit. Remember to play for the experience within, not just what lies at the end. And I'm not alone in this want to break free of these breakneck consumer speeds. In a recent Good Game Design, Snowman Gaming highlighted a moment in Bennet Foddy's Getting Over It, where the developer left a piece of commentary that hit home on this exact point, this obsession with what's next, leading to a startling level of ignorance for what's in the here and now. Snowman himself even reflected on this, speaking out as yet another creator, well aware of how this chase for what's relevant has impacted his experiences with gaming.
As I continued up the mountain, Foddy began to describe how we consume media as a society, and how we hastily discard something once we've seen it. We don't take the time to appreciate creative works like we should, because we've already moved on to the next big thing.
Outside of video games, it does seem that other forms of media have better realized and begun to combat this issue. When it comes to film, we're not just looking to analyze the latest superhero hype fest, but instead also looking back 10, 20, 50 years to films that have always had so much more to say, so much more to give. People like Movies with Mikey, Nostalgia Critic, and Cinemassacre, each one of these creators dedicated to discussing what matters to them regardless of its relevancy. It's a vital reminder that the discussions we share as humans should never be limited by what's popular or currently cool, but instead by the mental and emotional connections that we as humans can make to the films, music, games, and more contained within those discussions. If art from hundreds of years ago can still be criticized, examined, discussed, and more importantly, appreciated, then the same should be said for video games and any other form of entertainment. Now, I will admit, it does seem we are getting there. Revisits, retrospectives, and a seemingly newfound focus on how we discuss and appreciate games in the here and now is growing each and every year. Even the games themselves seem to be growing and getting away from annual releases, with things like Rainbow Six, Halo, The Division, Overwatch, and more, all seeing multi-year stability and interest from players and critics alike. The inclusion of tools like photo modes are even giving players a direct way to share and further build their emotional connection to so many games and the wonderful worlds contained within them. So let us make 2018 yet another year where we refuse to obsess with the future or the relevant, and instead take the time to experience and appreciate what lies in the present or even the past. I want to take a moment to throw a huge thank you to each and every one of my patron supporters, whether you were a patron in the past, whether you're one now, or you're going to be one in the future. I thank you so very much. You guys have made everything happening with YouTube, sort of Adpocalypse 15.0, whatever we're calling it now, so much easier to deal with. And I also want to give a huge shout out to each and every one of you who's just still here watching as we make this huge transition in the type of content that I produce here on the channel. If you like it, awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying making it. And I think this is the type of content that fits much better on Patreon. So that'll definitely be the route I'm looking to go, looking to sort of distance myself from YouTube's AdSense and monetization system. And if one day, one magical day, we can not even have to worry about monetization on videos at all and just do everything per Patreon, that would be a glorious day indeed. So if you like the content and you're financially capable of supporting and you want to support, of course, Patreon is definitely the way to do that. If not, just keep on watching, keep on enjoying the content. If you like it, feel free to share it with people who you think might like it. And honestly, that's just as valuable to me as you dropping $1 over on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.